What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today, shirt is hitting the fan over here, people. I didn't even angle this correctly. Whatever, it is what it is. This is the content that you're getting these days. Um, a lot of stuff is happening. If you want a few updates, check out my Patreon. Link in the description. Uh, Needless to say, for the fourth time in 3 months, I'm going to be going back to the vet's office later today. She's okay, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about a video I've been thinking about doing for a while, but it took me forever to come up with the pens that I wanted to talk about. Because only recommending 3 pens forever is a really hard thing to do. I took a look at my collection and I thought to myself, if I could only ever recommend 3 pens ever, ever, to anyone, regardless of their experience level with fountain pens, whether they've never touched one in their life, they're just coming from ballpoint gel roller balls, whatever pens. Excuse me. Or if they've been using fountain pens for hundreds of years. I don't know how that would be possible because, yeah. Anywho's, if I could only recommend 3 and that is it, what would I choose? So I have 3 in front of me, and one of them might surprise you. So what was I like? Basically, what I was thinking in my head was I need pens that are going to be approachable, so they don't have like crazy complicated filling mechanisms. So they're not like the push buttons. They're not pneumatic. They're not too difficult to clean out. So the maintenance is relatively easy. I didn't even include a vacuum fill in here because some of those you can take apart, some of them you can't. They potentially sometimes can lean their more way into like burping. So I went with something trying to be as easy as possible, approachable as possible. One of them has a gold nib. The other 2 do have steel nib. That I didn't really factor in too much because honestly, steel half the time writes better than gold nibs, I find. And they're, because they're a harder material, they can be a little bit more approachable to a newbie. Again, coming from a ballpoint or roller ball, to where if they put a little bit more pressure behind it, they are less likely to ruin said nib. But one of them is a gold because I just had to. So let's get the one that you're all probably very aware that I'm going to talk about here out of the way first. Because if you know me, and for those of you who don't know me, where have you been? I make new content every Monday and Friday and the occasional Tuesday, with the exception of this month with the whole Parker stuff, my cat. So subscribe, hit the like, leave a comment, because I want to know what 3 pens you'd recommend. But for those of you who've been following me forever, you know my obsession. I'm going to pull them all out. I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. You know my obsession with Bennu fountain pens. I have a crazy amount of Bennu pens, and I've had many more, but I've sold them. I think I've sold like 5 Bennu pens that I've had at this point, and look how many I still have. It's bananas. My favorite fountain pen version of their body is the Euphoria. So it's the taller one, slightly skinnier, but there's so many. There's like, smaller versions. There's now the Bennu Petite, which I have yet to get my hands on. There's 2 that I have, but many more you could get that are hand painted. So there's so many options that you could choose from. And really, I could cheat and say really like any Bennu pen would be the right one to pick, because really they're all the same. It's just the packaging that's a little bit different. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't cheat. So I did pick the Euphoria model. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One, because it does come with the number 6 size nib, which while the number 5 size nib on Bennu is just as lovely, I do find the number 6 size nibs a little bit nicer to write with. They're a little bit more wet and they're a little bit smoother, but like I said, they're still very lovely. Um, they come with standard international converters or cartridges. You can eyedropper convert them. Again, that applies to almost every single Benu pen. Even the little ones come with the standards. Um, and I just prefer, I'm holding up the talisman here, I don't know why, I just prefer the Euphoria model. It fits a little bit nicer in my hand. It's a little bit bigger of a pen, but it isn't overwhelming in its size because it's not a super heavy pen. It's completely resin. So I did choose the Euphoria model, and you can get so many fit or finishes with it. So you can kind of tailor it to your particular taste. Like I said, the Euphorias, these are the ones I have right now. You can get flashier ones, you can get less flashier ones, although not super less flashy. But yeah, I had to do the Benu. I had to. It wouldn't be a video of mine without talking about a Benu pen. I currently have two of them inked up. I have the Daily Mate and the Astro Gem. I've had these inked up since January. They're dynamite. Okay, so the next steel nib that would recommend is the one that's probably going to surprise some of you. And that would be the bane and love of my life, the TWSBI. The TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR. Now, there's some beef with TWSBI right now, for sure. There was some drama that was going on behind the scenes with TWSBI. I am not super well versed in it, but it seems like things have calmed down for the most part. The reason why I chose TWSBI is because while the Benu and the next pen I'm going to talk about is a little bit more expensive, but the Benu is not too expensive. The TWSBI is a little bit less expensive. This one is a piston fill, so it's slightly more complicated than the converter, but not really by much, because it's essentially the same mechanism. It's just built in instead of like popped in. Um, and you can easily take these ones apart to clean them, and they come with the instructions on how to do it. So from an approachability standpoint, I think that's a really good one. You get really good build quality. Since TWSBI fixed their whole cracking cap issues, I can't fault them on the build quality. The build quality is top tier, and I like it quite a bit. It doesn't totally post, but you don't need to. It's pretty big. And for the most part, in my personal experience, more of the nibs tend to write slightly on the normal to dry side, which I know there are the exceptions. I hear it every time I say it, but in my personal experience with the various amount of TWSBIs I've had in my time, tend to be normal to dry, which I think for somebody who is relatively new is a really good thing. And especially if somebody wants to use like the pen to draw, I think the fact that this is a very, very stiff nib, and puts down a consistent line that's the same all of the time. Uh, and even if you put a little bit more pressure down, you don't really get a ton of difference. I think that's a good thing for them, not for me, which is why I have that love hate relationship. But I think for the average person, it's really, really great. And TWSBI is nice and approachable, that it comes with everything you need in one package. You don't have to buy anything extra. And it's just really, really approachable that way. And it makes a really nice, I think, potentially first, if not next, fountain pen. Is it slightly more expensive for like a first pen? Sure. Yes, I would say so, 100%. But I think it's a good one to recommend if you can only recommend three ever, and that person's going to have it for the rest of their life. So I don't know why I went Australian there. So far we've got the Benu Euphoria and the TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR. Personally, I kind of wish that they would stop doing the R. I wish they would just do the Diamond 580 AL. Mostly because like the little ALR just means that like they have the little things here, like little ridges. Yes, my nails are atrocious. The anxiety has been off the charts these days, full blown panic attacks and everything. So I've been biting my nails, which I haven't done in a decade plus. So forgive me. Okay, last pen. So this one is definitely a step up between the two, price wise, and it does make the jump into a gold nib. And but it fits all the other criteria. It fits the approachability, the ease of clean, ever so slight asterisks on the ease of clean, but I had to include it because it is the love of my life, and that is the Pilot Custom 74. Now, I say slight asterisks on the ease of clean solely because I know a lot of people really, really dislike cleaning the Pilot Con 70 converter that it comes with. But I honestly, like, if you have an ink syringe or any blunt tip needle syringe, it's a breeze to clean this out. The reason why I put that asterisk there is just because that would be something additional to get. Otherwise, you're just going to have to use the mechanism a few times to flush it out. But again, if you only have 3 pens in your entire collection and that's all you use ever, chances are you're going to ink it up with the same thing and use it with the same thing quite a bit. The reason why I chose the 74 is because Pilot is one of my favorite all-time brands. Woo! Excuse me. I may just leave that in there for funsies. Pilot is one of my all-time favorite brands of fountain pens, and the Custom A23 is probably my greatest love of all of the Pilots, but it's not as approachable to somebody who's new, mostly because it's a built-in vacuum fill, and it's just not as easy, I suppose, as this bad boy right here. I adore the way that this writes. It does have a smaller nib from Pilot's standpoint, but it's the Pilot's version of a number 5 size nib. But it's adorable. It writes glorious, super smooth, super responsive to the pressure that you put down. You can get a good amount of different colors from the 74. You can get them varying degrees of price points depending on where you're looking. And you can take out, on all of these, you can take out the nib and the feed, so you can really get in there and clean. The one thing I will say that a lot of people don't like is that this is semi-transparent, which means occasionally you can see a little bit of water and or ink up against where the nib and feed are and the grip section in here, like literally where I'm pointing, depending on the light. You can't always see it. So I'm using a darker ink right now. You can't see it. When the nib and feed are out, sure, you're going to be able to see that, no problem, but that's not how you're going to use the pen. So it's really an OCD thing for that, but I don't really have a problem. Like I said, you can take the sticker off if you want to. I just don't. And I think that of the three, this is the smallest physical pen. It's still light. It can post perfectly to make it bigger if you wish. I've had this pen now for years and years. Looks beautiful. Not too many scratches or anything like that. There's some micro scratches from travel, and all three of these seal up really well, so they'll stay nice and juicy for you for all time. So going through, that's really what I ended up with. Was the Bending Euphoria TWSBI Diamond 580 AL and the Pilot Custom 74. These are the 3 pens that if I could only ever recommend 3 for the rest of my life as a human being on planet Earth, this would be the 3 that I would choose. Now, would I only ever actually recommend 3? No, because I have free will and I can do whatever I want. But if I had to, gun to my head, this would be my 3. I'm curious to know, though, in the comment section down below, what would your 3 be and why? Would you put the same parameters like I put on it? We're making it approachable, assuming that this person may not have any fountain pens ever, or would you just go balls to the walls? What's your favorite 3? You could put, like, a a $70,000 diamond pen in there if you want to. You can do whatever you want. It's your list. But let me know in the comment section down below. But for right now, guys, I'm going to go get ready to take Parker back to the vet. Check out the Patreon if you want to help support me and what I do on this channel. If you don't want to do a monthly thing, that's cool. If you just want to do a one-time support, check out the super thanks that is below the video, but above the description. But as always, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.